Hi everyone, my name is Sabapati. I'm doing a series on different types of stories where we have guests share their stories, both personal and business stories. Stories are a beautiful way to communicate. It allows you to persuade, it allows you to influence and get your point across, and also express simple joys of life. Today we have with us Anand Lakshmanan. Anand is an adventure lover and he's a corporate hand as well. Anand has done hundreds and thousands of kilometers of cycling and has done multiple levels of trekking. His famous saying during this pandemic is the only way by which we can help the healthcare system in India is by staying healthy. And he's doing his bit towards that. We are going to talk about it today. Anand, thank you for being a part of this show.
Hi, Sabah. Thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Right. So, Anand, just to set the context, okay, and to see the amount of grueling work that which you do on the fitness level. So, how many hours of cycling and trekking do you do every week?
Depends on the season, Sabah. During summer, actually, both cycling and trekking takes a back seat. But since I live in Mumbai, we have very little summer time, thankfully. So generally, on a weekend, I try and do about 100, kilometers of cycling. It takes roughly about 12 to 15 hours, depending on where I go and what I want to do. Trekking is not as much. Trekking on during monsoon time, for example, is typically a day activity. Though we start early in the morning and end up late in the evening, the actual trekking time is something like about 7-8 hours maybe. So just to give an idea, that's the kind of time that we put into these activities.
All right. So, yeah, so 12 to 13 hours we are talking about. So, you are a part of a group or something, or you do it?
Yes, for both cycling and trekking. Of course, I do a lot of solo rides when it comes to cycling, but trekking, I generally don't do any solo treks. One, because most of the places that you want to do trekking are not very safe to do it alone. So yes, I'm part of quite a few groups for both cycling and trekking, and we plan our weekends together.
All right. All right. So what was the last trek that you took?
I think it was sometime in last monsoon. If I'm not wrong, I think it was a place called Harishchandragarh. That's, I mean, Mumbai. Thanks to Chhatrapati Shivaji, there are hundreds and hundreds of forts around this place. We are still not done. We are exploring quite a few of them. So Harishchandragarh is one of those beautiful places. It's considered slightly tough to do, but yeah, that was the last trek I think I did.
All right. So even I have been to Harishadraghat. Okay. So
Fantastic.
I stayed in the caves. I mean, there was
Yes,
one college
yes,
days.
yes.
That's almost 25 years ago. All right.
Yeah,
So when it comes to your cycling, so typically,
yeah.
people start off slowly and then it becomes interesting and you do up to 25 kilometers and 50 kilometers kind of things. But
Yeah.
when it comes to really large rides, like 500 kilometers, 600 kilometers, or ultra cycling, like 1,000 kilometers, what really pushes you to do that?
Okay, so people take to cycling for different reasons. In my case, it was actually my diabetes. I was diagnosed in 2012. Like most people, I also went to a diabetologist. He suggested medication, and I mean, I'm not too much into it. But then people tell me that once you medicate yourself for diabetes, it's like lifelong, right? You have to keep taking those medicines. So I took to cycling because I heard, cycling can actually help recover from diabetes if there is something called recovery. So I actually tried it for that, but then I got hooked to it. After a couple of years, sometime in 2014, like how people just quit smoking, drinking one fine day, I thought I'll just stop medication and see what happens. And it's about 6 years now. I've not touched medicines for my diabetes. I still have all my sweets, but cycling, yeah. But cycling helps me keep the sugar level under control. So I think taking my own example, probably people can give this a try. Now, coming to your question, Sabah, when I initially took to cycling, like most people, I was also looking at it for fitness, right? Until I got hooked to it. And fitness is, I mean, depending on what time you have at your disposal, it can be 15, it can be 20, it can be 30 kilometers a day. But then in cycling, the good thing is anything beyond 50 or, for example, maybe 100 is just mental. Okay, your body will keep pushing you to go after the distance. And after the basic fitness and initial positive results, I also wanted to see what I can do with cycling. So I signed up for some of these long rides, and I've completed my double super run the year, which is you do 2, 3, 4, and 600-kilometer rides twice in a year, in a calendar year. That's when you are called a DSR. An SR, a super randoneer, is somebody who does it once. So I did it way back in 2016 twice. So what I realized is anything beyond 100 is just mental, right? So what pushed me towards it? In my case, it was primarily I hate medicine, so I wanted to keep my sugar level, and I love sweets. So I wanted to keep my sugar level under control, consume the sweets that I want to consume, but stay away from medicine. So the one thing that helped me do all of this was cycling. So I think that's what pushed me into it. Different people will have their own reasons, but in my case, this is what it is.
Right. So I'm a bit curious, Anand. So when you do these long rides, okay,
yeah.
So I mean, you don't really have trails that is away from traffic, right? So you may probably have to use the highways and all of it. So how safe is it?
Yeah. Okay. Safety is important, and almost all of the organized cycle rides, especially these long distance, they are called brevets. The ones that are organized by different cycling clubs in different cities. Safety is of paramount importance. What we do to keep ourselves safe is one, we try and ride at least in pairs. Okay, you need to have somebody to keep talking to, somebody who will look up your back, somebody who will help you if you, in case you have some mechanical failure, some other issue on the road. Yeah, it's all on the highways. The organized rides are mostly on the highways. Besides that, we, of course, on the bike, we have some safety gear, like you have blinkers at the back, especially. You wear a reflective jacket. You make sure that you ride always on the shoulder of the road, especially on the highways, and you are always extremely mindful of following the traffic rules. So these are things that you need to do to ensure that one, you are safe yourself, and second, you are not jeopardizing the safety of other people on the road, and especially your co-riders. So these are some of the things that we do to ensure that the rides are safe, Sabha.
Okay, all right. So what's the toughest trail that you have done when it comes to cycling?
Okay, the toughest that I have done so far in the last, I've been cycling from 2016 onwards. The last 4 years, the toughest that I have done probably is Khardungla Pass. At that point of time when we did this ride, it was the highest motorable road in the world. But then there is one more that has opened up now. Little bit tough to get permissions to do that road now. It's called Mana Pass, but when we did it, I think it was in 2016. Yeah, it was the highest motorable road. So we started from a place called Rekongpio. That's a couple of 100 kilometers beyond Shimla. And we gained altitude gradually. It was almost a 11 days ride, culminating at Leh, and then the final ride to Khardungla Pass from Leh. So among all the rides that I've done so far, I would consider this as the toughest, because sometimes we were in near zero temperature, and it was a self-supported ride. So we were carrying all the things that we need on our bikes, no vehicles to help us. And so one is the weight, and second is the temperature, and third is the terrain. And people who have traveled Leh Ladakh, they can relate to what I'm saying. There have been days during those 11 days, there have been 1 or 2 days that we did not see a human being at all. Okay, it's tough to keep your sanity. Keep riding throughout the day. Just keep looking at roads that have absolutely no end to them, and then you have absolutely no civilization around you. Those are things that not many people can take. So I would personally consider the summiting Khardungla as one of the toughest that I have done so far.
How many times have you done Khardungla? There's only one.
Okay, so No, I don't intend doing Kardungla again, Sabah. These are destinations or journeys that people don't plan for more than once. Right. Having said, it's a beautiful ride. As I explained, Leh Ladakh is a fantastic territory for somebody who's looking for a lot of me time. Right, you get abundance of that. But then these rides take a lot of planning, and then the ride itself consumes a couple of weeks, including the to and fro travel. Plus, I have a long bucket list of places that I want to explore, especially the Northeast, places in India, places outside the country as well. So, no, Kardungla is not in my bucket list to do again, at least in the foreseeable future.
Okay, all right. So in fact, my son and my wife, they went on a Himalayan trek. Okay, so
I see.
yeah,
Okay.
they asked me to sign up, and I said I'm somebody who believes in room service.
Okay.
So staying in a tent and all is not for me. Okay, so I
Okay.
didn't sign up. So they both went and came back in about 14 days or so. So okay, so coming back to
Okay.
this, so can you just narrate one story or learning, from your cycling that has helped in your work? So one, you
Yeah.
said that it helped you in terms of health. Okay, so is
Yeah.
there a positive influence on your work life also?
Yeah, so like you rightly pointed out, it's about the biggest advantage or the benefit that I have derived out of cycling or trekking is one, it helps me remain healthy, and I'm extremely proud of the fact that I hardly ever fall sick. And for a sales guy, I don't think you can ask for something more, right? You
Right.
you want to be you want to be available to do something that you love doing. That's number one. Second, whether it's a trek or whether it's a cycle ride, whether it's a trail that you are getting into, or you are going on a long ride like these brevets, it's all about teamwork, Sabah, right? There's a lot of planning that goes into making these rides and treks happen. Okay, you got to starting with deciding where you are going, so what you need to carry, and packing your stuff to making sure that the load is distributed. For example, when we went to Kardungla, in fact, for that matter, any of the long rides that we do, these multi-days rides, we actually start with distributing what we want to carry, because these are mostly self-supported rides, as I told you. And you have to have everything on your bike, whether it's a puncture kit or spare tubes or first aid kit or whatever eventuality you will have to face. You need to be prepared for it. So you carry everything with yourself. And there is this thing about you can't duplicate stuff, because if you can avoid duplicating things, why carry load, right? Because you are climbing mountains, you are
Right.
gaining altitude, so weight is very, very important. So a lot of planning goes into it, and then it's teamwork, like I said. So you distribute the load, and even when it comes to skills, for example, among our group, I'm the one who fixes punctures, okay, the flats, okay, because I'm pretty good at that. Somebody else is good at fixing mechanical issues. So we also make sure that in terms of skills, it's distributed, and different people bring different value to the table, and then we help each other. So the biggest learning that I have is, whether it's cycling or trekking, you can't succeed alone. You need to have a team, you need to have teamwork, you need to have a lot of planning that will have to go into making sure that you come out successful. So if I have to relate to cycling, trekking, and work, this would be two key things that are my takeaways, I would say: planning and teamwork.
All right, that's interesting. So, yeah, and when it comes to these kind of sports like cycling and trekking, so people
Yeah.
generally have several fears before they take it up. Okay, so and the least of them would be whether they would be able to sustain it or not. Even to begin, they have several fears. So, I mean, did you also have any such fears, and or have you seen people having such fears, and how did they overcome that, or how did you overcome that?
I don't know if we can call them fear, but like with most of us, there is this bad habit of procrastinating stuff, especially things that you know are going to be helpful and useful to you, right? So I'm also not an exception. Before I took to active cycling and trekking, I was also planning for a very long time, and until one day diabetes hit me, and then as I said earlier, I'm somebody who hates medicines, who hates going to the doctor. So I was looking for alternate ways, to keep myself away from the harm of diabetes, plus figure out ways to remain healthy at the same time. So for me, it was that pushed me into these activities. But through my experience, if I have one piece of advice for others, um, just give it a try. Okay, these are, I mean, contrary to what people believe, these are not really difficult activities to cultivate. Yes, initially, like most things in life, you have to devote time towards it, but you will certainly like it. I mean, I'm sure all of us have gone to school, during our childhood, cycling. So
Right.
it's no different. Long distance cycling, trail cycling, it's no different actually. And if you have good company, you will actually love it. Same is the case with trekking. I think there is a separate high that you get when you are especially trekking to a place that you have not been earlier too. And if you can read maps, and I still can't, I rely on my
Okay.
co-trekkers for that. Okay, while I do a whole lot of other things like helping them with cooking and washing up after that and setting up the camp and collecting firewood and whatnot, I still can't read maps. Okay, and I'm trying to, because I've never been technically inclined. So you will eventually like it. Okay, trekking, again, like I said, if you have the fascination for wanting to know the unknown, especially, you will certainly like trekking. And for all of these, Sabas, you can understand, fundamentally you have to be a outdoors guy, you have to be a nature lover. And if you are one of those, and there are many out there in the world, right, giving it that first try is all that is important. uh, like I said, just make sure that you associate yourself with people who like it a lot, so that grows on you. And then there are no reasons to give up, but there are only reasons to pursue these activities, right? And eventually you will definitely pick them up.
All right. So, and I'm very sure that you'll learn to figure out how to read maps also, just in case if it
I
helps.
am still learning. I'm still learning. In fact, coincidentally, not coincidentally, I picked up all of these, actively during my time in Chennai, when I was part of this great organization called Chennai Trekking Club.
Uh-huh.
And as part of many things that they used to do, they used to also, the founder, Peter Van Gate, he used to also conduct, uh, I should actually call it classes, because it was registration based, classroom based training that he used to conduct for people who wanted to pick up map reading. When I say map reading, I'm talking about the typical Garmin GPS devices.
Okay.
And you understand topography, you understand distance, you know how to multiply, and you know how to basically use these tools to navigate yourself in a jungle, right? No, to answer your question, I am still not there, but I certainly, if there is one thing that I want to pick up as a skill, it is my map reading skills. I definitely have to pick up that skill, and I think one day I will.
All right. And is Chennai Trekking Club still active?
Chennai Trekking Club, unfortunately, not very active these days, because of an unfortunate incident that happened a couple of years ago. There was a fire accident, and some of
Right, right. So
some
that's the
of
reason
my
why I asked.
friends,
So I
yeah,
was just
actually
hoping
lost
that
their
they come back
lives.
again and be active. So
Yes, actually, even though this incident was extremely unfortunate, as a club, Chennai Trekking Club used to do many great things, especially in the Chennai region. And I'm sure, Sabha, you having lived there for many years,
right.
one of the signature events was this Chennai coastal cleanup that they used to do once a year. Thousands of volunteers used to participate on one given day in a year to actually basically clean up the coast of Chennai. Starting initially, it was just Marina, and then it extended to Mahabalipuram, and then it went to Pondicherry. The last year that I was part of this event, I think there were close to 31,000 volunteers, and
Oh,
we
okay.
cleaned up. We cleaned up the coast across almost, I think, 50 odd kilometers, starting from Chennai, like I said, all the way up to Mahabalipuram and beyond.
Okay.
So many good things, and I'm also like you, hoping that things will settle down with them, and they become active once again. I'm also looking forward to it.
Great. So, and yeah, when it comes to the cycling or trekking for that matter, so there's a lot of several barriers to entry, right? Or at least that's the perception that people have. So one is the cost of all these gears, the cycle and the
Yeah.
blinders and the reflectors and the maps and then the software associated with it, the shoes and the dress that you use, the padded gears and all of it. So
Yeah.
when you put all of this together, so it kind of becomes huge, at least in the perception of people. Okay. So is the barrier to entry actually that high, or is it just a misconception?
Actually, it's not high, Sabha. I wouldn't say it's a misconception. Yes, if you really want to go blow money, I mean, there is no end to what you can buy, like in most other sports or many other things in life. But if you really want to keep it reasonable, there are umpteen options, and I would actually not call them barriers at all, Sabha. For example, if you look at cycles, the main thing that you need for a activity like cycling. Cycles are available from 7,000 rupees, and we have heard enough stories of people buying expensive, exercise equipment to use at home, and they gathering dust after a period of time.
Yeah,
Right?
that's
When
true.
you compare, yeah, when you compare something like that, cycles are. I don't think that expensive. Number one, and second, you mentioned about these gears, Sabha. If you invest on good quality gear, I have, in fact, some of the gear that I'm using are like 10 years old. Okay.
Mhm.
They have survived time, and I use them pretty regularly. And if you buy some of these good quality stuff, whether it is shoes or your jerseys or your, shorts, you name them, right?
Mhm.
They can last a long time, and you have to basically take care of them. You can't abuse them. You have to take care of them like most things you do. Should take care of them. For example, cycles. I make sure that after every ride, especially in the monsoon, as soon as I come back home, I clean it, I vacuum dry it, I wipe it clean, and then I oil it. Okay, and I keep it stored in that condition till my next ride. And typically these days I ride once a week,
Mhm.
so that is important. Otherwise, these things can obviously rust. Right. Some of the expensive equipment are made of aluminum, and some of them are made of carbon fiber. Those things, of course, water is not a problem. You can be a little easy on cleaning. But then I would probably say, if you take care of things, they serve you for a long time. And cost is not a barrier at all. Like I said, you can start really low. Once you can try a 7,000 rupees cycle for maybe 6 months and a year. If you are regular, if you think that you are somebody who can give time to it, if you want to pick up that habit for more than fitness, you can always buy a slightly better, what to say, configured cycle.
Okay.
And there are cycles starting at, let's say, the cycles that I use. For example, my first cycle was a 23,000 rupees cycle.
Mhm.
And I think that's probably the same how much it costs to buy one of these fancy exercise equipment, right? But the good thing about cycle is, even if you are not using it, there are many people who want to buy it. There is a huge used cycles market out there. So just in
Okay.
case, unfortunately, you are moving countries, you are moving jobs, or something happens, you don't feel like continuing, you want to upgrade, there is always a resale possibility. That's one advantage with cycling.
Mhm.
And trekking, again, the equipment that I've invested in, the gear that I've invested in, trekking is not as technical as cycling, Sabha, as you can imagine.
Okay.
Right? I wear normal dresses when I go trekking, just that I have a good trekking bag that I carry with me, which costed me some 3,500 rupees that I, again, invested some 7, 8 years ago. It's in
Okay.
perfect shape.
Mhm.
And that's all you need. Otherwise, you carry normal stuff with you.
Mhm. All right. Fantastic. So yeah. So now I get a drift of what you are
Yeah.
saying as to
Yeah. Yeah.
the maintenance is very key. Okay.
Yeah, maintenance is key, and things are not expensive. And there are options like, for example, Decathlon.
Mhm.
Not only that they are extremely competitively priced, they also have a fantastic return policy. Right,
Okay.
I have returned sandals, trekking sandals that I bought from them after using it for like 8 months, 1 year, because they have a 2-year warranty on some of these things,
Mhm.
right? And no questions asked, they replace it. And another great brand, which is an Indian brand, is Wildcraft. They
Yeah.
also make a fantastic, good quality. In fact, Wildcraft, I heard recently, They started making tactical gear for the Indian Army. So fantastic quality at great competitive prices are available. You just have to explore.
Right. So I think I'll give it a try. Okay. So probably
Yeah, sure.
probably the next time we speak, at least I would have done a few kilometers. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Anand, anything else that you want to add?
Uh, Nothing, Sabha, just that I want to tell people that personally, I have benefited out of these outdoors activities, and especially in a time like what we are going through now, all of us locked at home, staring at computer screens throughout the day, whether you are in business, whether you are working for some organization, the time that you are spending on the phone in front of your laptop is just insane, right? And different people have different ways of de-stressing. Some go to hill stations, some party, some read books, some write stories, some spend time on social media. But for me, it's been outdoors, and I would strongly encourage people within the confines of their respective cities' guidelines for lockdowns and things like that. You can go for a walk, you can try cycling, you can do a little bit of trekking. It just refreshes you. It just refreshes you. And for me, it just helps me keep my sanity. Without my trekking, cycling, and the kind of stress that we go through in our day-to-day jobs, especially for somebody like me who's in sales, I mean, it will be really tough. So if there was one word of encouragement or advice that I want to give to people who are listening, just give it a try. I think outdoors is where life is. Personally, that's what my belief is.
Fantastic, fantastic. And in fact, one of my friends called me yesterday, and the last time he called me, so while keeping the phone down, he told me to stay safe. Okay.
Stay
So,
safe.
yeah.
Okay.
But yesterday when he called me, the first question that he asked me was, "Am I still sane?" Okay.
Sane, yeah. I think, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the more appropriate, wish that you can have for somebody. I think
Right. I
more
mean,
than staying safe, I think it's staying sane that is important now.
right.
Yeah.
So with all the lockdowns, so that's where it is. So thank you so much, Anand, for spending time with us. Is there a way by which people can reach you?
Yes, they can look up for me on Facebook if they want to connect with me personally for any of these activities. I'm based in Thane, close to Mumbai, and I am known by Anand Lakshmanan on Facebook. If they want to connect with me professionally, I'm available on LinkedIn. Again, Anand Laksh is my short identity on LinkedIn. I work for this company called NTT, the Japanese telecom giant. So they can use this as the search criteria on LinkedIn if they want to connect with me. So looking forward, Sabha, if I can be of use to somebody, more than happy to do it.
Fantastic, fantastic, Anand. Thank you so much. And thank you, viewers, for watching this video. And I request all of you to subscribe to this YouTube channel as well as click on the bell icon so that you get notified whenever there is a new video that comes up. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye-bye.